Good evening. It is November 6th, 2016, 2 nights before election night, and I have decided to create an artifact, a little time capsule that maybe people will look back on in 20, 30, 50 years and compare what it's like then to what it's like now. So, this is the first year in 240 something years that a female has been nominated and is up for election in 2 days. And I felt it important to create a piece of art about it. And I think that the idea of females becoming equal in politics says a lot about where we are in history for humanity. I think the human species for a long time had to divide itself up between its sexes of male and female. In order to survive as a species, the male had to think in a very linear way, go out with the spear, hunt the deer, build the structure, whatever it was it tasked to physically get something done in order for us to survive. And the female actually position most normally was the opposite, where the female normally raised the children and would constantly have to be roving and scanning, sometimes, 5, 7 different babies, running around and constantly having to make sure that they were alive and well. And so even our thought patterning between males and females, it's very different. And that's exactly why males have been in politics much longer than females have. But what's interesting, we're finally reaching a day and age where we have the luxury to communicate with one another. And in doing that, we start, exchanging ideas. And I do feel that it is a very significant time in humanity, and that we are looking for answers that we can only find when we actually connect as male and female, because in reality we're the human race. There is no other race. There were the Neanderthals and the Homo erectus, and we did kill them, or we did starve them out. So we have a little bit of our own karmic debt as a human species that I think sometimes makes us a little touchy on the subject of race. But in reality, we're the human race. But there is a division within the human race, and that is the separation of male and female. And once we actually can learn how to communicate fully, I do feel that there will be tremendous amounts of healing on the earth. I think that there's a lot of issues that come up on the ballot in this country, like abortion on one side or the other, and it's not really the subject of abortion. It's the subject, the deeper root of that is that the female species, or the female sex, even though left out of the equation of politics, has always had their significant place in it, which is that if all females on the planet decided to only have one child, I think it's less than 40 years, we would cut the population in half, which is much more significant than war, disease, or any of that, and so we've really always been important in the world view, but only at this time I feel that we've come to a point where it's significant enough that maybe we should start talking about these things. And I'm not talking about controlled population, I'm talking about conscious creation. I think that we have gotten to a place where we've been very successful in ensuring that we as a species would survive. And now we really have to look at things globally. And in doing that, I think that, you know, our relationship to be able to bring all points to the table together as male and female will be incredibly significant. So I'm going to do a real quick breakdown of the painting, which is at the root you have the teepee, because I definitely wanted to make sure and ground into our native ancestry. And I think that the elders of this land have many answers, and I think that, you know, within this term we've seen a lot of the natives protecting the land and the water, and I think that we should definitely listen to them. And so I think that's very important to ground back down into the roots of our soil. The triangles, I actually put 50 for all 50 states. And then I had some beautiful huichol, which is peyote art that I kind of paired up with our teepee. And then I have there's a plethora of initiatives on the ballot for marijuana. I happen to live in a state that where it is legal, so I've actually added CBD oil into the paint on the canvas. So this painting could be illegal in other states. I don't know, but so I put marijuana. But marijuana actually has had a huge history in this country. In like the 1600s, in I think it was Jamestown, Virginia, it was illegal not to grow hemp. Like hemp is the male in marijuana. Hemp is the male part of the cannabis. It's strong. It's, you know, fibrous, used for. At that time, it was used, you know, for sails. It was used for canvas, and it was also used for paper. And apparently, a couple sources say that the original Declaration of Independence was written on hemp paper. So marijuana has been in our culture for a long time, but now the female version of it would, you know, is kind of up. The THC and then the healing factors of the CBD, they're all different initiatives are all over the ballots this year. So I definitely felt that needed a significant part. Now, the White House, you recognize the pyramid, which is on the dollar bill, but the original pyramid art, it had 13 steps for our 13 colonies, and then the top portion with the eye represented our perpetual unfinishedness. It was that we would always be unfinished, that we're always working on something. And the eye was designed in the idea that we're favorable in the eye of God. What we are working on is favorable in the eye of God. And then, as we all know, or many of us know, the donkey representing the Democratic side, and the elephant representing the Republican side. And I believe that the donkey came about because Andrew Jackson used to be called an ass. And what I love about the story is that he actually took that and then had, you know, a famous cartoonist at the time kind of spin off of it, and he started representing himself as a donkey. And then, of course, the cartoonist had to come up with a counterpart, and the elephant. And I'm not quite sure about that story. Maybe one of you can fill me in. But this is the globe, or the earth, and I really wanted to represent green energy. So you have these kind of almost digital webbing around, and in each triangle, different symbols throughout time in human history, because all of human history is filled with symbology. And so I kind of wanted to break it all apart into our divided tribes. And then we have Libertas kind of shattering through that glass ceiling of belief, the belief of the unbelievable, of separation. And this is the Statue of Liberty, or Libertas, the Roman goddess, the sex goddess of Babylon. And I think originally she was holding a chalice, but wine. But somehow it became, you know, the Lady of Light. And I have 16 stars around the edge of the sun, which is representing 2016. And also I really wanted the solar energy there, because I do feel that solar and green energy are going to be very significant in the next few terms. And yeah, and then of course we have our old beloved eagle, and the image we're used to seeing on the dollar bill, which has, in one talent, it has the olive branch, which represents peace with 12 leaves, 13 leaves, 13, and then also the arrows for the original 13 colonies, and the arrows represented defense, not war, but defense of the land. So, and there's normally one eagle, but what I really liked was the fact that, because eagles, I mean, do we really want the eagle as our totem? I think the eagle's a little bit of a scavenger bird, a little bit of bully, but the eagle is very beaver cleaver, very all-American. The eagles are pretty much the most American idea of parents. They actually are monogamous their whole life, and they both raise their children. I mean, eagles, I think, stay in their nest, like the babies stay in the nest for like 3 years or something, and both mom and dad actually take care of them. So I figured that if our country is going to be represented by the eagle, maybe that's one of the qualities that is a little bit more the direction we'd like to be known for, possibly. Yeah, so that's a little bit about the painting. Yeah, I thank you for taking your time to listen to this, and for all of you in the very far future, I hope that this seems very primitive, and that we do wake up in a day and age when there is a little bit less division, and that we do realize that we're all in this together as a human species here from the earth, of the earth. We are the earth, and maybe a very peaceful, loving paradise future. That's who I hope I'm talking to. Thank you. Have a good evening.